Oh, can I see his name without it playing? Hold on, let me see. Okay, yeah. So this is country singer and CMA host Luke Bryan recently sat down with Andy Cohen, who inquired about Bryan's thoughts on Beyonce not receiving any nominations for her country album.
Hmm.
So this is audio from that, ladies and gentlemen.
Hmm.
Here we go.
So I'm all for everybody coming in and making country albums and all that.
Yeah.
But just by declaring that, just because she made one,
Doesn't mean it.
I don't need. Just because I make one, I don't get any nominations. A lot of,
Right.
I mean,
A lot of great music is sometimes overlooked.
a lot of
Yeah.
great music's overlooked.
True.
Sometimes you don't get nominated. Sometimes, it. So, like I said, I mean, I think the CMA, they have their voting body,
Yeah.
and they vote what they think
Yeah.
should make it. Everybody loved that Beyonce made a country album.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's mad about it.
Yeah.
But
All right.
where things get a little tricky, and
Where'd
you
it
know,
get tricky?
if you're gonna make country albums, come into our world and be country with us a little bit.
Huh?
Like, don't like Beyonce can do it exactly what she wants. She's probably the biggest star in music.
Yeah.
But come to an award show and high five us
Yeah.
and have fun and get in the family too. I'm all for everybody.
Luke Bryan, y'all. Luke Bryan.
Now, I have a question for Luke Bryan. Luke, I hear you. I do. But did y'all invite her in? Because what I see here, if I could be honest, is that, well, the thing about Black people is we invite you in. We want so badly to let you into the cookout. We want so badly to say, come on down. Or you sound good, you can hold a tune, and we say, okay, we'll make a song with you. We'll make albums with you. You can come to our award shows. We'll even give you awards. We'll invite you in. But the question is, did they invite her in? And I think that's the big difference between Black people and our culture and our arts and entertainment is that we always make room to let people who are not like us in. And on the other side, whether he's right or wrong about how much she participated or didn't participate, the question is, did you make her feel welcomed? Did you make her feel that she was welcome to the hoedown? Because maybe that's why. Maybe that's why she kept her distance. Maybe that's why she wasn't trying to hang out with y'all. Because from what I understand, anytime that she has tried to step into that space, it is everyone who is a part of that culture, with the exception of a few, that have welcomed her in. The sad part about this is that I think that he made some interesting points, and some points that we probably make over here about hip hop or about R&B or about anything that falls under our culture's umbrella, which, if you do your homework, country does as well. But that's the flaw. That's where the flaw is in this whole thing. That's where the snag is with what he said. Because I think he was actually fairly kind to her with what he said. The problem here is, I don't know that anybody tried to let her in or tried to, hang out with her and, bring her in, and I don't know that when you are the outsider that it doesn't go both ways. I think it does go both ways. I think you can express interest in it, but I think people can also express interest in you.
Come on, look like you got one more piece you want to say.
No,
I said you done frying them up.
it just kind of, it's like, I'm not saying like, I'm not even saying it's a race thing. I want to be clear about that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think it's a culture thing more than anything else. And I think that we are way too welcoming. And so we are confused when people don't welcome us. But the reality of the situation is we are far more welcoming, and people don't just let you into spaces just cuz you did a thing. It doesn't happen that way, and it's unfortunate that it doesn't happen that way, but that's why, I say all the time, fuck inviting people to the cookout. Do they think of us when they have their rodeo? Do they think of us when they have their hoedowns, their honky tonks? Do they think of us? Do they say, "Hey guys, come on down, come join us"? Did somebody say, "Hey, we're doing this thing at the barn or whatever. Beyonce, you want to come?" Did Luke Bryan invite her to do a little something with him? I just don't think that it is that simple. And I think that in his effort to be kind, I think he oversimplified a bigger problem. And maybe people don't even consider it a problem. But I am the first person to say that I don't think that you just get everything, or I don't think that Beyonce is hard up for awards or accolades. I don't think she is.
Mhm.
But let's be serious here. Let's be honest about what's happening here. Y'all didn't like that she made a country album. You could sit there and say, "Oh, you like that she made a country album." I don't believe that all of y'all like that she made a country album. I think some thought that she was trying to take from them. And I don't really think it even, sure, we could have the conversation about about the fact that she's a black woman, but we don't even need to. She's the biggest star, like he said, arguably the biggest star in the world. And what that means is that people are always going to feel a way about that. They're going to feel like she's trying to take. If she comes into the space and she gets, then she's taken away from everybody else. And I'm not saying that that is not a valid feeling to have. All I'm saying is I don't know how welcomed she was. And that seems to be his argument here. That she did not try to acclimate herself. She did not try to come into their space. Did you open the door? Because the album was her knocking. Did you open the door? That's all.
So I'm gonna come at this a little different, but I just want to say, man, I almost got up and got the frying pan for you because you was definitely cooking just now, and that's why I just shut up and just let you go off. Because as a good co-host, sometimes you just gotta let niggas go off.
I appreciate it.
So I understand that as an artist, um, it gets a little weird. I understand his point of, you know, you should try to be part of the culture if you're gonna drop the music, right? If a country artist drop a rap album today, we're gonna be a little confused. And we're gonna look for how they operate in our spaces. We're gonna look at who they know in our spaces. We're gonna want them to kind of go through some of the same things our artists have gone through, right? Like we want to see you perform at the local spot. We're not just gonna be excited if you show up at the Grammys and perform your single. We're gonna be like, yeah, but Garth Brooks though, like you ain't got no bar. You can't just show up and do this, Garth Brooks. We're gonna be a little confused, and we're gonna wonder, did anybody see Garth Brooks perform at the hip hop spot in Nashville?
News that came out this week, we wouldn't be inviting him anywhere either. But that's another
I'm
story
only
for
I'm
another
only
day.
using Garth Brooks as an example. My point is, let's say Luke Bryan. If Luke Bryan decides he's gonna put out a hip hop album, we're gonna want to see him, you know, doing some hip hop esque things. And so I can understand what he's saying, but um, even when he said come to an award show and high five us, I thought that was funny. I didn't think that was the worst part in the world, but um, it's almost like he's accusing her of cultural appropriation. And that's where it gets a little weird for me because, the thing is, Beyonce grew up in a place where country music is very prevalent. And Beyonce dropping this country album has made the world look at country music in a way that it wasn't looking at it for a while.
Put it on the world stage.
And although I hear some of the things he's saying and kind of understand them as an artist myself, yeah, an artist puts out music, you got to get in the mix, you got to go hit stages, you got to go, as my good friend Days the Emperor would say, you got to touch the people. But the thing is, it's Beyonce. And Beyonce has shed a huge spotlight on country music by doing this. And so she kind of helped y'all out. Not only did she kind of help y'all out, um, you know, allegedly she missed the deadline to be part of the CMAs uh consideration for awards. And if all she did was miss the deadline, you didn't really have to say shit. And I would think that as one of the hosts of the upcoming CMAs. And so I just wonder why he didn't shut up.
Because it's
Also,
Beyonce. And his name is all over the news today. That's why. That's why. Because the reality of the situation is now everybody's talking about him. People who wouldn't normally talk about him. Why would we ever talk about Luke Bryan? I'm sure he's a lovely man, but why would we ever talk about him? It's all a part of the same cog that just keeps going around and around and around and around and around. He benefits from this. He gets his press run. He gets to talk about Beyonce. How about keep Beyonce's name out your mouth? How about that?
keep my wife's name.
Right.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. So
Like,
listen, I think that Beyonce doing this album was controversial. I think she knew that. And I think that, you know, some people embraced her, some people did not. That's neither here nor there. Excusez-moi. Some people embraced her, some people didn't. That's neither here nor there. But um, I think this was a bad idea to say this as somebody who's a star of country music, as somebody who's the upcoming host or one of the hosts. Um, I don't think he's all the way wrong. I understand a lot of what he's saying as an artist. And so, I mean, I get up here all the time and say Drake is a pop star. I don't want to hear y'all say rap stuff about him. So I understand some of the things he's saying, but he didn't have to say them. And honestly, Beyonce could do whatever the fuck she wants, which he said. And also, it was a good ass album. She made all of us listen to country music, and we
yeah.
haven't. We ain't listened to country music since Garth Brooks was all over the radio, and we couldn't stop hearing him. And I mean, look at Shabuzi out here getting all the love, and he even knows, hey, this is partially because of Beyonce.
Oh,
And so,
a lot of the artists that she worked with and she kind of shine a light on during this whole thing have praised her and said that they're grateful that she did what she did because people are paying attention to them. I mean, Tanner Adele performed at the BET Awards, and that's not on
Right.
brand for that sort of show. So
Right.
I think what she did was revolutionary, and people may not.
I think that's a reach, but okay, I hear
I
you.
think I think it is. I think it is. I think that I don't think there's a reach at all. I think that a lot of people make music. I think that even when she made Renaissance, Renaissance was cool and people loved Renaissance, but it didn't, it's not to say it didn't have global impact. It's just that when I say it's revolutionary, it's what you said. We're probably in closer proximity, and not as far as history goes, but just in general, we're probably in closer proximity to her dance album than we were to her country album until we all listened to it. Like,
Okay.
for a lot of people, if it wasn't Beyonce, a lot more people, not more, but there were a lot of people who probably would have, and you presented them with a dance album and a country album, there are a lot of people who probably would have picked the dance album. So what I'm trying to say is, I think your point of her being able to impact so many people and get so many people to buy into what she created when
Mhm.
there's a bunch of those people who maybe would have never listened to country music. I think that's a big deal. And none of those people that we think of have done, when we think of country music, have done that. Not when it comes to the culture that we sit here and talk about. Maybe in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And there's plenty of Black people who listen to, and people of color who listen to country music and did before Beyonce. I'm not saying that that isn't true. Texas alone has a huge population of Hispanic people. I'm sure some of them listen to country music. I can't imagine that they don't, right? So my point is, I just think she made it bigger than what it was for a lot of people where it wasn't. And if we could call certain people geniuses for, making an album with really great beats, I think we could call her revolutionary for bringing country music to so many people that would have never listened to country music before.
Got it. Well, uh, you know, Beyonce probably will not respond. She probably shouldn't respond
To us?
to Luke Bryan.
I'm kidding.
Um, I just feel like he didn't have to say anything. I also wonder, that's a clip of the podcast or the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do wonder, did he delve more into that because that's the clip that's circulating.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, did he elaborate more? And so perhaps that's something we will find out, and as things continue.